Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I'm at a meeting today, as you know, so I wanted to give you a screencast to kind of give you a little bit of a start on what we're doing today, rather than have to leave that to Mr. Bussinger and Miss Burnside. So today you're going to give each other feedback in groups. You're going to do a read aloud. We did those before last semester, but it was a while ago, so I wanted to give you instructions again. Before you get into groups, everybody needs a piece of paper, and don't get those out yet. Get that out here in a minute after I've explained it. Everyone's going to need a piece of paper, and you're going to do that thing where we divide it in half and then break it and divide it in half and break it. I would show you, except I can't figure out how to get my webcam to work. It's not being my friend today. So I created this Word doc to kind of give you the idea. So you're going to fold the paper in half, rip it in half. Then you're going to fold those two halves in half, rip those in half, so that you have four basically equal quadrants. All right. So then what you're going to do on each of those pieces of paper, again, this is PQP. So you're going to put your name on the top of all four of them, all of them. You are the person giving feedback, okay? And you're going to be in groups of 5. So you will have, you will have one of the rounds where you're actually reading your TED Talk, your draft. So you will only need 4 pieces of paper. So you're going to give praise, question, and polish. All right, that is polish, not Polish. So when somebody reads their TED Talk, we want to go back to the idea of the standards, our success criteria that we created the other day. So I'm going to ask Mr. Bussinger and Ms. Burnside to put the criteria up on the board in front of you. And I want you to give your feedback in terms of the success criteria. If I had the wherewithal to plan ahead, I would have given you a physical copy, but this is still kind of I want to fix the wording on it a little, so this is not yet a final copy. In fact, I'm going to write up here, draft, just so there's no miscommunication. All right, so let me remind you that in your TED Talk script, which is what we're working on today, in your TED Talk script, you want to draw your listeners in with something they care about. So maybe that's something that your person does a really good job on. So you're going to say, I appreciate the way you use your personal story or whatever it is that they use, whatever hook they use, to make your listeners care. Okay, so that would be a good point of praise. You want it to be specific. You don't want to just be like, nice intro. You want to tell them specifically what it was that's working for you so they know to keep doing it. We want to present your idea clearly in one sentence. Now, you gave me that yesterday, and if you're in first hour, Ms. Burnside is going to give you that feedback. If you're in third and fifth, I apologize, you're not going to have it yet. But your idea is going to either be that call to action, or it's going to be, that big idea that you're trying to plant in your listener's head. So I remember Mr. Simcoe's was something along the lines of, it's okay that high school students do not yet know what they're going to do with their life. That is your idea, and stated clearly in one sentence. You want to explain your evidence with conviction. Conviction means that confidence. So we're going to change that to confidence. And we talked about how confidence is shown through speaking clearly. It is using, speaking with authority. So you're going to convey, let me spell that right, you're going to convey those ideas in your draft as well as in your presentation. You want to present clear, supporting evidence that the audience can relate to. Remember that it's really hard for us to relate to statistics. And if you use statistics, you need to put them in a context we can understand. So if it's 25% of the population, that means it is how many students in this classroom, that kind of thing. You want to leave your audience feeling positive at the end. So if we're on our PQP and your person kind of doesn't really leave you feeling positive at the end, you might put a question like, how can you leave your reader, listener, because we're listeners, listener feeling positive at the end? What hope, maybe, can you give them? Okay, so that might be the kind of question you would write. Back to our rubric here, our scoring guide. Use ethos to establish your credibility. Let me remind you that ethos is your own experiences, your own credibility. It's what you bring to the table. So I know everybody knows that Miss Sutton is writing about adoption, and she has the really cool story about herself being adopted. So she brings that ethos to the table by virtue of the fact that she has lived through what she's talking about. So as much as you can bring that in, that is really going to establish your credibility. You want to use loaded language to evoke pathos. Now, when I say loaded language, we don't mean fallacies. So we're not using language that's so far out there that we're like, I don't know, using hyperbole or we're exaggerating. We're just going to use very specific and well-chosen diction to use the words that mean precisely what we mean. And so maybe that is something that on our PQP we could say, try to use specific word choice that really shows your listener what you mean. Some of your ideas were not clear to me. So maybe that's what you're experiencing when you listen to your people today. To go, you don't want that. That's the meeting I'm going in today. Where did our scoring go? Oh, it's right in front of me. Okay, you want to use maybe statistics and or anecdotes to ensure logos. Remember, this is logical appeal. So in your logos, that is where you can use factual stories. But remember, we want to use empirical evidence that's true most of the time, not just anecdotal evidence that's true some of the time. So be aware of that. And then demonstrate command of the English language. So we want to make sure to avoid slang, avoid conversational tone. You don't necessarily want to get up there and sound all academic. So it's not that it has to be completely and entirely devoid of, obviously, emotion, because we want some pathos in there. But you want to make sure you're using proper English. So these are, I'll ask the teachers to put this up on the board today so you can use this as you go through your PQP. And so what you're going to do then very shortly here once I'm done with my video is get in groups of 5 as much as possible. I realize we might have a couple groups of 4. Don't go more than that or you won't have time for everyone to get feedback. So it's okay if we have groups of 4 and 5. Try for 5. Don't really want you to go 3 and 6 is too many. And so you'll take your piece of paper, divide it up in 4 pieces, put your very own name at the top of every piece so that the person knows who's giving them feedback, and on each one, write PQP. All right, so this is going to be my praise, this will be my question, this will be my polish. Now it's okay, and actually I encourage you, if you can, give more. Okay, give more. So the anecdote you provide about the child who has the disease really showed me how important this topic is. Whatever. So, give them more than just one if you can, but make sure you give everybody at least 1 point of praise, 1 question, and 1 point of polish. And so you'll do the same for this one, the same for this one. And then everyone gets their own feedback. So I will take this square of paper that I have and I will give it to the person whose TED Talk I listened to. And then we go around. So each person gets a chance to present. And as they are presenting, everyone else in the group is listening and giving feedback. Hopefully this made some degree of sense. And if it didn't, then I know the teachers in the room will help make sense of it for you. So what I want you to do with that is spend the first part of class, it's going to take about half an hour, giving those read alouds in groups of 5, giving that written feedback to one another, praise, question, polish, and then spend the last 10 minutes or so of class revising your script. Your homework tonight is just to revise that script and make it even better. Tomorrow we'll be back in class and we will be looking at the Gettysburg Address and seeing how President Abraham Lincoln used rhetoric in that speech to create an impact on his listeners. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.